Go, okay, it's my birthday. We're gonna party like it's my birthday. We're gonna trade charts like it's my birthday. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of TA with K. And yes, today is in fact August 12th, at least here in the United States where I am from, and it is in fact my birthday. So I'm going to be going out tonight for some karaoke, which is something I do every weekend, so I can't act like that's necessarily special or specific to my birthday. But going to go out with the wife, have some good dinner, and, sing some karaoke songs. Maybe I'll even record a bit and put it on, tomorrow's video. But before I go out tonight and do all of that, hoopla and fun, I did want to put a quick video together today just to kind of give you guys a market update on kind of what I expect going into the weekend, potentially out of Bitcoins and altcoins, and then a quick DOT update, which is the coin that we've been tracking for the past week or so on the channel. And if that sounds interesting to you, please remember to like and subscribe, because after all, it's my birthday. And let's go. It's TA with MK. It's TA with MK. Gents and ladies, no time to waste. Don't be afraid, it's time to trade. Let's start your brains like high-speed trains. Storm these games like hurricanes. It's time to save this herd this days. Put on your cape and learn the phrase. It's TA with MK. It's TA with MK. Okie dokie. So at the time of making this video, here where I'm at in the United States, the SPX, the S&P 500, actually just closed for the day about 5 minutes ago. And it put in a pretty strong candle today. I mentioned in yesterday's video, right before I did my dot update, that a pullback at the top of this zone to the bottom could make sense as we're a little overheated, and then maybe we break out. But the main thing I was talking about was just that at some point we were going to contend next with this orange level, which could come together right about the same time as this upper trend line of this kind of large falling wedge that we've been in ever since, October-ish, or at least the top, I guess, in early this year in January. And, that's what we're going to be contending with over this next week when we open up. But the candle did close strong today, which is good to see. I can hop over real quick. Let me come out of this real fast. Let's go over to the ES1. This is actually the E-mini futures chart that I talk about sometimes on the channel. It trades Monday through into part of Friday. I think it actually goes through almost the end of the day or so. And it trades 24/7. It will be closed by tomorrow as well and will not be open for the weekend. But it's still open for right now. And of course, since the regular S&P 500 broke out, this is also breaking above its key zone of resistance that I've been tracking for a while. And so, often that can bode well going into the weekend if that these close strong. But the thing is even though they're breaking through resistance, like we just discussed on the S&P 500, it's approaching, even more major resistance. So it's just resistance after resistance after resistance. But the fact that it closed strong leads me to believe that the weekend could end up being some decent trading. Of course, the weekend does often have some scammy price action, so you can never really trust it. But, if Bitcoin can even just be steady over the weekend, usually altcoins will move well. And so that's going to bring me over to the dot chart. All right, scratch that. We're actually going to talk about the Bitcoin daily chart really quick because there is one major concern on this chart that I think we need to talk about. And it's just a candle that printed yesterday. And I will put an illustration on the screen that explains what I'm about to talk about. But this candle that closed yesterday it's not perfect, but it's almost what's known as a gravestone doji. Which is just a candle that can signal a reversal for obvious reasons. And those obvious reasons are that it's a giant wick to the downside, which just means there's a lot of sell pressure at this level. The candle went as high as 24,000, almost 800, but closed clear back down here at below 24,000. So there's a lot of sell pressure. You can kind of see some examples of similar, like this last pullback of about 10%. You could see none of these candles were the same. They weren't gravestone dojis, but they were long wicks. See these 3 days straight of just sell pressure, sell pressure, sell pressure. Ultimately, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight red days. Back here, you have these couple of candles, 2 out of 3 days, lots of sell pressure. You had a 15% pullback. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6 out of 7 days were red. The closest candle you can kind of see that looks very similar to the one that we just printed yesterday would maybe be this one back here. Looks very, very similar to it. And you can see that after that candle, the next day did push a little bit higher at first, but ultimately It went down. Oops, I'm looking at the wrong candle there, actually. The red one, which is next to it, started there. And you had a pullback, actually, of nearly 15% in one day. Now, that's not something I'm expecting right now, based on the last charts where I was showing you that the SPX closed strong. This was also back during the beginning of the capitulation that sent us down to 17,000. We're just not in that exact, situation right now. But I wanted to bring that up to say that just because the SP 500 closed strong today, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to open strong come Monday. But I guess the case that I'm trying to present for the weekend to maybe see some upside from altcoins is just that Bitcoin, if anything, might just range. Now, clearly, if it could break above that candle yesterday and close above, 24,800, especially over 25,000 on, higher time frame candles like the 4-hour or 8-hour or something, that could invalidate that entire gravestone doji candle, in which case we might just push to the upside some more. But I just wanted to bring that up because your professional traders or people that are looking at higher time frames, these kind of things are what they pay the most attention to. Clearly, all the sell pressure back here led to a pullback back here, so we could see the same thing. But where this candle is closing on a Friday, right as the traditional stocks close, and they close strong, that gave me confidence that Bitcoin could at least range over the weekend. Maybe it comes back down and tests 23,600. Maybe it breaks above 24,150 for a little bit and tries another run at that 24,800. But ultimately, as long as it just kind of ranges, then we should see some decent upside out of altcoins, and that would lead me to talking about DOT. And here is our beautiful DOT daily chart. And just a quick follow-up / recap of what we talked about yesterday is that the daily candles, for my criteria for entry, it did meet that. There's 2 parts to my criteria, 3 parts total, but the first 2 is that the breakout candle, which was this zone of 920 to 935, that it breaks above it and the body closes above it. The following day's candle, I want to see retested, but the body to close above it. So had it closed back down here where this wick was at, say, like 912, that would have actually invalidated my criteria, but it closed right at 920, which is the bottom of the red zone. And then at that point, I mentioned what you would do is you would zoom into the 15-minute time frame and look for a bottoming pattern or a breakout pattern. I'll play that clip really quick. Zoom into something like the 15 minutes and just start looking for breakout patterns, something like a falling wedge, right? This is something we speak about on the channel all the time, but these are patterns that have a higher likelihood of breaking to the upside. Something like this I can kind of see already on the 15-minute, little falling wedge. So if the 4-hour candles continue to do all right, well, then you'd kind of you'd zoom into here, and as soon as you saw a break and a retest of this, something like that, you could enter. Now, this is actually the 30-minute time frame, not the 15-minute, but the same thing applies. Essentially, you've had happen what I spoke about. You have this little falling wedge that developed on the 30-minute time frame, and then you have your low, your high, your lower high, your lower high. The way these falling wedges work, 68% chance they break to the upside. What you're looking for is a break where it breaks out of the wedge and it puts in a high that's higher than the last high inside the wedge. Check one, right? Then you want to see a retest. Now, I wouldn't say we've necessarily retested yet, so this could come a little bit lower, maybe back down to as low. And I posted this in my Telegram group as well today, but it could come back down to 920 or even something, just above. That would be a bullish retest. And I have already entered. In fact, right now, I would probably be about even, and I will post that on the screen just to kind of show you my entry. But this is an aggressive trade, especially, because we just talked about how Bitcoin is put in that gravestone doji. We don't know that it's for sure going to trade bullish over the weekend. This is just kind of assuming that price action should more or less range over the weekend. And if so, then, DOT could see some upside to its next target at just under $10. However, I put a tighter stop loss on this. I have my other entry from a previous, I've spoke about in the previous videos, which is at 825. That trade I actually have going on the exchange BitGet. But this was a KuCoin one that I opened up just today. And my stop loss for the BitGet one with my 825 entry is currently, I bumped it up to 887. Just under 890, and my stop loss for this trade that I just opened up at around 932, I actually have the stop loss just below these couple of wicks right here from the downside of the wedge. So, just under $9. I put it at 897 actually. And again, I think I spoke about this in yesterday's video that if I were to enter the trade based on the break and retest of this 920 zone, that I would want to get out of the coin if we lose the $9 entry. I can can always look for re-entry. But if we lose $9 and that, even number becomes resistance, at that point, to me, it would be better to be out of the trade altogether. But I'm going to zoom out one more time, kind of let you guys look at the daily chart that I have. And here is my beautiful daily chart. If you want to take a screenshot, just kind of some of the areas that I'm targeting, looking for, taking profits and so forth. But I did want to just leave off by mentioning that this is not as good as a risk to reward trade as I normally would take. This is just going to be a scalp trade for me. I already have a bigger position in DOT, as I spoke about, down at 825 entry. That was the key level I was looking at about a week ago, and we broke and retested that, and that was the entry I was eyeing, and I have already taken profits on half of that. I've already bumped my stop loss up into profits, and so this is just kind of a short-term trade, a scalp trade, as they say, and a very, very, very little bit of capital. So if this is something that you were considering entering, along with me, just understand that this is not a risk to reward ratio that you would normally want to take. And I actually show this on the chart that, at least for me, my plan would be to take the majority of my profits at just under $10 if DOT were to push that high. At that point, I would bump my stop loss into profits again, but that would only be about a 5.5 to 6% profit versus right now, if it were to go down and hit my stop loss at just under $9, that's a 4.5% loss. So you're looking at just over a 1-to-1. And, I'll leave a link in the description for a video that I put out of how to calculate risk to reward and what's considered good. But, usually want to see at least a 2-to-1 and preferably 2.5 to 3-to-1, really. And, scalp trades, it's harder to get that kind of ratio. But at any rate, you want to be over 1.5, in my opinion, even on scalp trades. So this is just a little bit under that. And that's why I didn't, deploy much capital into this trade. But just to kind of give you my short-term plan, I guess, would be that if DOT pushes up here to where this previous daily candle and found resistance at about 950, I would then bump my stop loss up to break even. That way, no matter what, I'm looking at, break even worst case. And then if it pushes up to say 980, 985, that's where I'm going to take half of my profits on this little short-term scalp trade. And then I would bump my stop loss up to just under 950, like 945, which would then be stop loss guaranteed to be in profits and so forth. So I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter. And thank you so much for stopping by on my birthday. Please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on them naughty noties and all of that crap that everybody always says. Also see the link in the description for my Telegram group. Come join us there. And otherwise, you guys have yourself a beautiful weekend. It's tea.